The EU and the US have the largest bilateral trade relationship in the world. It accounts for roughly 30% of global trade. But the European Commission warns that tariffs are taxes that are bad for business and even worse for consumers. The European Union says that the Trump administration's actions are totally unjustified, these 25% tariffs on steel and aluminium. The EU says it is prepared to respond in kind and will introduce countermeasures to the tune of $28 billion. These will be imposed in two parts that are set to come into effect on April 1st and April 13th. But Commission President Ursula von der Leyen hopes there is wiggle room for a solution to be found.
In the meantime, we will always remain open to negotiations. We firmly believe that in a world fraught with geo-economic and political uncertainties, it is not in our common interest to burden our economies with such tariffs.
On April 1st, we'll see a slapback of countermeasures that were first put in place during Donald Trump's first term in office. This will include things like Harley-Davidson motorcycles and bourbon. In the middle of April, there'll be a wider tranche of duties, including things like industrial goods and US agricultural products, things like pork and soybeans, that EU officials say that the EU can easily pivot away from the US and go towards other markets like Brazil, for example. Officials also say that it's an effort to target particularly red states, states that historically vote for Donald Trump's Republican Party. Now, there is a few weeks before these duties come into effect. EU officials say it's a period for the US to either choose to negotiate or the EU will retaliate. It's also an opportunity for the EU's member states to have a say on what exactly they want these countermeasures to look like.